Hello ladies and gentlemen, Top Hat Gaming Man here. Recently on this channel I have had a lot of requests to start making content again on individual games, rather than mainly just covering console history. So since I have some extra time on my hands, now being a full-time YouTuber and all, I have decided to dip my toe into this genre of video once again. You deserve it after all. Over the last couple of weeks, I have uploaded Capcom and Master System console videos, so I felt that this subject would be a perfect midweek topic to satisfy your gaming taste buds. Today we are going to take an in-depth look at this Street Fighter 2 game and how it came to be. So, without further ado, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Street Fighter 2 for the Sega Master System. Yeah! Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2, a game that is undisputedly one of the most influential gaming titles in all of history. This 1991 title is often credited for rejuvenating the arcade market and giving the scene a second wind in a period which it was flailing. Gaming at home was taking over the world, however this game was so attractive to its players that it would regularly manage to get gamers to part with their cash when out and about. As a small London child, we would have one of these cabinets in just about every pub on every street corner in the city. It did not matter which public house my family would visit. The choice was always the same: darts, pool, or bloody Street Fighter 2. The game was everywhere. The game was the sequel to the less successful 1987 original, and improved on just about everything by offering up an alluring array of stunningly animated characters, which each came equipped with their own fighting style, command-based special moves, 6-button configuration, and innovative combo system. The fact that you could not just fight against a computer, but also fight against your own friends, made this game even more popular. During the following year of 1992, the game was ported over to the Super Nintendo. The game was so in demand at the time that it was even included as the packing game with many Super Nintendo units. In fact, as mentioned on this channel a few weeks ago, the game was such a smash hit that it was the title that convinced many people around the world to invest in a Super Nintendo in the first place, and helped Nintendo gain a footing in many regions where they had never managed to find popularity previously. Past this point, as we all know, Street Fighter 2 was eventually ported to what seemed like every system under the sun, with ports of the game still coming out even on modern hardware today, such as the Nintendo Switch for example. The port we are zooming in on today though is the Master System version of the game, which personally I feel is amongst one of the quirkiest of them all. Street Fighter 2 for the Sega Master System did not arrive until 1997, 6 years after the initial arcade release and 5 years after the 16-bit Super Nintendo port. So what on earth was going on here? And why was this Capcom classic released on an 8-bit system where most gamers now had platforms such as the Sony PlayStation, Nintendo 64 and Sega Saturn? If you have been following this channel regularly, the answer to this question is pretty simple and consists of one word: Tectoy. Tectoy are the Brazilian electronics company who hold a licensing agreement with Sega, and as discussed in my Master System 3 video, have been regularly manufacturing Sega systems right up until this very day. The company have a particular affinity with the Master System and found great success marketing the console in the developing world, throughout a period where many gamers have moved on. From everything I hear online, many Brazilians did own more modern hardware that was often procured through the grey market. However, if you wanted a system legally and on the cheap, Sega Tectoy products were the way to go. Sega Tectoy's competitive advantage mainly came from the fact that they would manufacture the systems directly in Brazil, whereas other consoles coming from outside of Brazil would come paired with ludicrous import tariffs, which consumers would be expected to pay. For this reason, the Sega Master System has had an extremely extended life in Brazil, which explains why games such as Street Fighter 2 were released as late as 1997. In fact, there is a whole range of titles such as this one, which were developed exclusively for the South American market. This game, along with many other titles, were programmed directly by Tectoy themselves. In Street Fighter 2's case, the license would obviously be acquired from Capcom. However, the circumstances surrounding this are not quite to be expected. As mentioned, it is quite surprising to see such a game appear on a system in the year it did. The reason being for this is simply that not many companies would be happy to see their modern games released on such old products. Reportedly, This same line of thought applied to Capcom, and Tectoy's pitch to have the game published was rather amusing as a result. Tectoy would show off and pitch their Street Fighter II title to Capcom employees as a Sega Mega Drive title, which obviously resulted in disgust. As a result, Capcom stated to Tectoy that they would need to improve it a lot to be allowed the Street Fighter II license. As this was happening, Tectoy would place the Sega Master System atop the table, displaying that the game was running off of simple 8-bit hardware. A Capcom employee was stunned by this revelation and is quoted to have said to the CEO of Tectoy, Stefano Arnold, "I've never seen a game taking so much from the Master System CPU as you did. I think we will allow you to release it." So, with this all said, the rest is history. Tectoy would go on to release Street Fighter II for the Sega Master System in 1997. So, let us discuss this game a little, and whether or not it lives up to its reputation as the most technically impressive Sega Master System game. The game lets you pick from 8 different playable characters. Interestingly though, different from the game's original arcade incarnation from 1991. Dalsim and E-Honda are absent and are instead switched out for Balrog and Bison. I would straight away assume that this simple change was due to the system's technical limitations, as a playthrough of this title consists of 8 fighters as opposed to the traditional 12, where you take on the bosses. For an 8-bit title, the game is every bit as pretty as its reputation suggests, with the game's graphics being leaps and bounds ahead of some of my system's favourites, such as Alex Kidd in Miracle World for example. The game really does look like Street Fighter II, and is impressively fluid for a game running on the Sega Master System. Despite the fluidity, it is clear the game has dropped some animation frames. However, it still delivers far more than what you would traditionally expect from 8-bit titles. Hit detection is great, and many special moves remain in place. However, obviously you're restricted in what you can do somewhat, bearing in mind that Sega Master System controllers only feature 2 buttons, in contrast to Arcade Cabinet's usual 6. Regardless of the 2 buttons, in my opinion the game seems to still handle surprisingly well, and in my own playthrough I have had no problems giving my opponents a bloody good thrashing. Away from the controlling of the characters and their animation quirks, I guess I should discuss the stage backgrounds. You may notice that on many stages, some assets from the backdrops appear to be missing, with more stuff missing from some stages than others. Finally, I guess I should address the music, which is personally one of my favourite elements of the game. There is just something magical about hearing the fantastic soundtrack of Street Fighter II rearranged for an 8-bit system. This game in many ways is a fantastic D-make, many years before D-makes were considered cool, and the music in the game really highlights this. All in all, this is certainly not the definitive port of Street Fighter II. However, the game's history is extremely interesting, and its quirky nature makes this game worth playing for me. I just find this game's existence so novel, so it's a real treat for me to play really, being a fan of both the franchise and the Sega Master System itself. Is this game for everyone? Obviously I'm going to say the answer to that question is hell no, but all in all it's an impressive technical achievement and an important part of Brazilian gaming history. So that's all I have to say on the matter really. If you enjoyed this video and you are new here, I upload videos on obscure console trivia every single week. So if you want more, I would love it if you could like, comment and subscribe to the channel to never miss a video. Which port of Street Fighter 2 do you think deserves some more attention? Let me know in the comment section which game has interesting history which you think deserves a spotlight as well. Finally, my channel Top Hat Gaming Man is funded by the fantastic support I receive from the amazing Patreon benefactors who continuously go above and beyond to preserve this channel's life. So shout outs to Carl Johnson, Shizuka Kobayashi, JD Robbins, Greg Hooper, Seabass the Great, Since Space Seas, Andrew Bzansky, Edward O'Reilly, Quang DX, Sponge McBee, Michael Baker, Hand Christian, Computer Man, and all of my other patrons. Thank you all for changing my life.